Welcome to Series 1, Episode 4. My name is Jamie, this is Jamie Makes, and in this video we're going to be building the top of the tower. So let's get building. This is a test print of the top of the tower. And already we've learned a good few things. You can see here, I think this overhang might be a little bit extreme because you can see it hasn't really printed properly. One of the things I learned immediately that was a bit of a boo-boo, I was going down the wrong direction. And it's really only when this was printing I thought about it. I'm glad I did at the time. If you look at the way the handrails will attach to the tower. So the handrails would be printed as one piece, and then the legs of the handrail would fit down through these slots right here. But the astute amongst you will notice this ring is the same as that ring. So the handrails for the next ring can't actually fit over here. So I couldn't actually attach the handrails for this bottom section if it was left like this. So we have a couple of small things to do in the design. Nothing really, no big deal here. We need to make this wider so that the handrails can fit down over the top ring. Then we need to make these arcs less aggressive so that we have less overhang. And also put a chamfer on this part to stop that stringing. Off camera, as I said, we're going to deburr this, see if the glass fits. Then we'll try the UV resin, see how that works. And then next we need to do a 3D print of the bottom section to make sure that these actually threads together and that everything screws together right. But on the whole, a successful failure, as they used to say about Apollo 13, because we've learned that this is too narrow and we've learned some things about our overhangs. But let's get cracking. I'm going to do these pieces off camera and we'll see how the whole thing works. So we've now reached here. You would have seen in the last video, we printed off the test print and we assembled everything together. And you might be thinking, but Jimmy, we already reached this point, and you're absolutely right. You'll remember in the last video, I said this. So we have a couple of small things to do in the design. Nothing really, no big deal here. So that was the equivalent of me saying, watch this, because when I tried to go into Fusion 360 and widen this level so that the handrails could fit on, Fusion threw a strop that I've never seen it throw before. It was unbelievable. It was one of those issues where every time you'd solve an issue, it would cause another 10 downstream. So, yeah, that didn't go well. So, after that, I redesigned it, and then I cropped up with another issue. You're just seeing in this that we printed the two towers and got them to sit together. Beautiful. Right, happy days. Couldn't ask for better. Now, the issue was I printed this out of PLA, which was a good idea because PLA is cheaper and I've got more of it. But when I went to print this out of PETG, once again the wheels fell off. So I kept getting stringing across the two walls like this. It kept going wrong. So I serviced the printer and then I changed some settings in Fusion, and then I changed some settings in Bamboo Labs. I told it to stop crossing the walls and that helped a lot. Also, I changed a couple of things in the design and then finally I got the threads to work in PETG. So we're now at this point, which is fantastic because honestly, I spent until maybe 3 o'clock in the morning a couple of nights ago trying to fix the last model. It wasn't going to happen, so eventually I did what nobody wants to do. I stopped and I walked away. I went for a sleep, went to bed, and then I got up the next day and it occurred to me that I could use a feature to export the good parts of the model, the parts that weren't broken, export it out to a brand new model, and then draw the tower again. This was actually a good thing because I was starting to get worried about scale, because you remember there's a house to go with the tower, and the house has doors that are about 50 millimeters tall. So I was starting to worry about scale, that the windows and doors wouldn't translate properly onto the tower. So I got to redesign the tower and actually take in some blueprints of Portland Head Lighthouse and then compare all the scales. So actually, it was a blessing in disguise. Yeah, it did throw away a few days for me because it actually took a few days to get back to this point here, which, as I said before, I would understand if you told me, but Jamie, we were already at this point. Yes, we were, but it all went wrong. But we're back in business now. We're back to this point, and you can see the threads are working. I was going to print the whole tower as one print using the AMS on AMS. If you don't know what an AMS is, it's a automatic material selector. So it's the piece atop my Bamboo Labs, which allows me to print several colors. So basically, it'll print one color and then it'll swap filament and then it'll print the next color straight onto that last layer. I was going to print the whole tower in one go, but after seeing the failures that I got with the threads, I'm going to print the tower in two, just because I don't want it to reach this point where it's got to the threads and then throw a tantrum and the whole tower is for the bin, because I don't want to waste that material. It's just, there's no need for it. So we're at this point now. The next step is to design the dreaded handrails, the handrails that cause all the issue. You'd never think that just widening this part of the tower to fit on some handrails would cause such an issue, but it did. It's okay, we're past it. We'll design the handrails. We're going to do that in a second on camera. I'll film it at 10 times speed like usual. We'll design the handrails. You'll get to see the windows and doors that I've put in. Don't worry too much about that. I'll show you how I designed the windows when I'm designing them for the bottom of the tower. It's the same procedure. So let's get cracking. Before I do that, I want to show you something. So let's give this a go. See if it works. This is going to be awkward to try and hold the battery and the model, but I'm sure we'll get there. So let's see. Will it work? If this does spin, it's not going to spin nearly as fast as it will with the battery that we're going to use, because this coin cell is a lot weaker than the battery we're going to use, but it should still spin, hopefully. Look at that. How exciting is that? Okay. Let's get designing the handrails and the windows for the tower, and then hopefully we should get the top of the tower printed today. But let's see. Okay, so just off the printer, I've got a test print of the window and the door. Let's get these off the print bed. That worked out nicely. There's the door. I imagine these are going to take a little bit of post-processing. That's really nice. The window in particular, because it printed this way up, so I imagine this isn't going to be perfectly round. So it'll probably take a little bit of sanding up here in the top before it'll fit in, and maybe in the bottom, because obviously it printed a brim so that it would print standing up properly. But let's see how these fit, shall we? Oh, that's going to be nice. You can see definitely do need a little bit of sanding right here at the top, right here at the very, very top of the window. I'll do that in a moment, it's not a problem. And then let's try the door. So, well, that's really nice. That's genuinely very nice. I'm very happy with that. So, I'll give a little sand to the top of this, maybe also a little on the bottom. See how it fits into its aperture. So, I'll do that off camera and catch you in a minute. I can see here in the arch for the window, there's a little bit of material right here. Can you see it? Let's try and circle that out properly with a knife, and then we'll try again. Let's see if the window fits properly. That's it. Okay. So there you go. There's the door. And one of the windows fitted. So let's print the other two windows, and then we'll print the handrails. See if they fit. If they do, glue everything in, do whatever post-processing that we need to do, and then that will be the top printed for us. Brilliant, happy days. Now that we've got the other two windows printed off, we can do a little bit of post-processing and glue all these together. So there we have the windows and the door glued in. I've got a tiny little bit of glue right here on the door. Don't worry about it. I have a little trick to hide my sins. So I'm going to use a tiny bit of spray on lacquer. Teeny little bit. And it should. There you go. So you can see it's already started to hide our sins. We'll get another coat on it in a minute, and then that will hide that for us. So we're just waiting for the 3D printer. You can probably hear it there. We're just waiting for the 3D printer to print the rails. Get the handrails on, glue them on, and then we'll try the lamp room inside of the top of the tower. So now it's time to try and attach the handrails to the tower. Let's see how it goes. The tolerance should be quite close. This is where you'll get to see where we would have made a really big mistake at the start of the video. This is one of the handrails. You can see, had I left the model the way it was, there's no way to get the handrail down to the next level. So thankfully we spotted that on time, It wouldn't have been great if we got to this point and then spotted it, but we spotted it. It caused a bit of trouble, but look, that's part of building. Now let's try and affix. As I said, from building the other lighthouses, I found that these are by far the most fragile parts of the whole build. So carefully attach the handrails. And as I said, I'm not going to glue these handrails because if they do get broken in the future, I would like the option of being able to just replace them and not have to replace the entire top of the tower. So that is one handrail attached. I am happy with that one. One more to go. There's a bit of rubbish here that we need to clean out. That's fine. So let's nice. Okay, that's one handrail. Let's try the next. So here we have it. That's both of the handrails attached. It's really starting to come to life. It's really starting to become the top of the tower. Now I'm going to grab this ring. So this ring represents the very top part of the bottom of the tower. This is the part that the lamprum actually attaches to and glues to. Obviously, we're not going to glue it to it. I just want to see if everything fits properly and I want to see what it looks like as part of the model. So let me get the lamprum affixed to this and then we'll try it in the tower. So this obviously represents how the lamprum will attach to the tower. Now let's see if it all works out. Wow. There it is. That is the very top of the tower. I've made a decision. Once again, I hope it's not a really bad one. It might be. But I've made a decision that once I'd made the decision, it was kind of obvious to me that I'm going to make another one of these lamps. I'm going to make another one of these lamps with a COB LED in it. It's much more powerful. So the COB LED would be 1 watt. It's an awful lot more powerful than this LED. Let's see. So that's the beauty of making these so that they are screwed together like this with the threaded insert, because I can make a different beacon and make these interchangeable. So this is not a scrap piece. This is a tower that we can use. This is a beacon that we can use. We can attach it. And if we want to try a more powerful beacon, we can attach that. And it also allows us to use different motors. So we could use one with, let's say, 25 RPM, one with 15 RPM. So we could change the speed of the rotation of the tower. So yeah, that's exciting. But there we are. So here we are. We've reached the point that we hope to get to by the end of this video. We had some dramas along the way, but thankfully, I believe this has worked out really nicely. I think another really good thing about attaching these handrails and not gluing them is if I wanted to change their colour, that's not an issue. So let's play some B-roll, and that's going to be it for this video.